Okay, so yesterday we discussed about user acceptance testing, okay, and why it is important. Okay, so is my screen visible? Yes, let me know. Madhuri.
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you. So today we'll complete this user acceptance testing. So user acceptance testing, it is performed by the end users or the client. Okay, is usually performed by the end users or the client to verify or accept the software system before moving to the production environment. Okay, so before like using by the end users. Okay, before the software is deployed at the client side, we go for the acceptance testing. So what is the purpose? Purpose is to validate the end-to-end business flow, to validate the end-to-end business flow, and it does not focus on any like the errors or any spelling mistake or okay any system testing. It mainly focus on the end-to-end business flow. Like yesterday we discussed about one example as you people are registering in this particular AICT portal. The users are registering in this AICT portal. Okay, and the college institute is also registering, and here there is a mapping is there. User selects the college. Okay, user select the college in this particular portal, and this data is reflected to the college, and they will enroll, they will approve the students. Means there is a end to end, there is a validation is there from both the perspective. So user acceptance testing is very important, and it is done before the production, before the deployment at the client side. User testing acceptance testing is done before the deployment. So what is the need of user acceptance testing? The need of user acceptance testing that arises once the software has undergone unit integration and system testing. Okay, because as the modules or the units are tested by the tester, and once the modules are tested, that we integrate with the various other modules that existing in the software. Okay, so we need to check the complete this system. So after that we go for the acceptance testing, because the application whatever we developing, it should support the users data. So finally the user or a client, they are working on the this particular software. Okay, so if there is any error or if they are unable to use the particular application, then there is no use. So the developer have included the features on their own by understanding. This is also one of the reasons. Like some of the requirements, the developers they are assuming. Okay, if there is no, there is if the requirements are not clearly mentioned, then they are assuming some of the requirements. Okay, and the developers they assume by their own. So we need to check whether assumed whether the particular feature it is as per the customer requirement or not. Okay, then requirement changes not communicated effectively to the developer. So sometimes what happens, the requirements, whatever the requirement changes, it is not communicated to the developer. So that's why we need to check. So that's why this acceptance testing is required. Okay, like it is like a finishing. Acceptance testing like a finishing the touch. Means like for example, if you consider a construction of a house or any apartment. So at the final stage, they will verify whether is there any work is left. Okay. So similar to that acceptance testing. So here the developers code the software based upon the requirement documents, which is their own understanding of the requirement. So that may not be actually the what the client needs from the software. Okay, as we discussed, means here the developer is assuming some of the requirements, so that we need to check whether it is satisfied by the client or not. Okay, whatever the client is expected, whether it is covered or not. Okay, so that is very important. Acceptance testing. So this one some simple example. So here acceptance testing pass or fail if the particular software application is ready for customer use, means end user customer use, it is ready and that is pass, and if it is not ready, means the even though after system testing also, after the system testing also after the system testing also, if it is not ready, the software application is not ready, then it is failed. Okay, and sometimes the, like for example, the requirements. Okay, for example, if it is a tree, I think you know this one example. Means actually there is one general example is there. Is this I'm not getting that. Okay, means actually the user requirement. Okay, the user is expecting this type. Okay, this is the user acceptance. Okay, but they are developed in the software in this way. Actually, one example is there that you can understand the requirement specification. Hmm. This, So why would do the acceptance testing? See what is there here? What the customer is really needed. Okay. So here, what it indicates, this is the way the customer is needed. What the customer really needed. Okay. And actually, the requirements are explained by the customer in this way he has explained. Okay. And how the project was documented, how the programmer wrote. Okay. And when it was delivered, means delivered means at the after all the system testing and all, and how the customer was billing. Okay, this is the way they are delivered, but they are charged more the billing. What the dig effect can do your site, the disaster recover plan. Means with this, what why I am using this image is to verify the customer requirement. This is the actually customer they are expecting. Okay, this is the expectation by the user, but they are delivered this one. So that's why they need to verify the customer requirements. They need to verify the customer requirements. Okay, so verifying the customer requirement is very important. And the V model of acceptance testing, as we discussed in the last class. So each phase in the software development is having their own testing method. Okay, so the unit design or code stage of phase of the software development is having the unit testing. Then system design is having a integration testing. Okay, system design, or we can say the design, module design, system specification, system testing, the requirements user, that is acceptance testing. Okay, the requirements are confirmed by the acceptance testing, as here in this case. In this case, this is the actually the requirement is the customer is really needed in this type, but the customer means the team has delivered the project in this way. Okay, so the testing is very important. So how to do the user acceptance testing? It is done by intended users of the system, specific users. Okay, it is done by the intended users of a system or the software. So this type of software testing is usually happens at the client location, which is known as beta testing, which is known as beta testing. So once the entry criteria for this user acceptance testings are satisfied, the following tasks are needed to perform by the testers. So here is the process, user acceptance testing process, analyzing the business requirements. Then you need to prepare a user acceptance testing plan creation, identifying the test scenario for the user acceptance, identify the test scenario, the creation of user acceptance test cases. First, we identify the scenario. We identify the scenarios. Then we, based upon that scenario, we rate the test cases. Then test data preparation. Okay. Then test run and confirm the business objectives. So these are the process that involved. Okay. First it comes the understanding the requirements, then plan, then scenario, then cases. So based upon the test cases, test data, then run the test cases, record the result like expected and actual. Okay, record the expected result and actual result. Okay, and actual result. Okay, and confirm the business objectives. So to understand the business requirements, it is very important to identify and develop the test scenario. Okay, for that it is very important to understand what actually the requirements are. Okay, so project details, use cases, the process flow diagram, then SRS software requirement specification document, business requirement documents and all you need to understand. Then based upon that preparing a plan. Plan for the plan for test scenario, test cases. Okay, then identifying the test scenario as in a tutorial you are doing these assignments. First assignment is you are identifying the test scenarios, and in the second you are writing the test cases based upon that scenarios. So this is very important for the test engineer. Okay, to identify the test scenario for any particular application. Then based upon the test scenario and test data, you are preparing the data, test data, and run and you are recording the result. Okay. Then confirm the business objectives are met. So business analysis or user acceptance testing. This needs to send a sign off mail after the user acceptance testing, whether the product is good to go for production or deliverable for user acceptance testing. Okay. It is this particular confirmation or this particular the business objective. You can compare this with your in the HR. Okay. Once you complete your HR round in the company, so based upon the feedback from the HR, based upon the feedback from the HR, so they will finalize whether the student is selection or rejection. That is based upon the this your performance. Okay, in interview. So exit criteria for the user acceptance testing. So before moving into the production or at the client site, these are the things that you are need to consider. Okay, when to stop. Exit criteria means when to stop the acceptance testing, when to stop the user acceptance testing. Okay, when to stop the user acceptance testing. If there is no critical defects that open business process works satisfactorily. Okay, if the business process if they work satisfactorily, then user acceptance testing sign off meeting with all the stakeholders, then you can stop the user acceptance testing. So the qualities of user acceptance testing testers are it should be excellent. So these are some best practices for the acceptance testing, like preparing a plan, the user acceptance testing plan as early in the project life cycle, and preparing the checklist before the start. This is very important. Checklist, okay, checklist is very important for testing. Okay, you are noting down what are the things that you are to do. Set the expectation and define the scope of user acceptance testing clearly. And test end-to-end business flow and avoid the system test. So there are some tools are there, tools that you can go through in the tutorial part. So in this user acceptance testing, there are three types are the main very important three types, that is alpha testing, beta testing and gamma testing. Alpha, beta and gamma testing. So what is alpha testing? Alpha testing is a type of acceptance testing performed to identify all the possible issues and bugs before releasing the final product to the end user. Okay, It is a type of acceptance testing. Alpha testing, it is a one of the type. Okay. Okay, and it mainly possible it identifies the bugs before releasing the final product to the user. Alpha testing is carried out by the testers who are internal employees of the organization. See, this is the important point. Who is doing the alpha testing? The employees of the internal organization. The main goal is to identify the tasks that typically the user might perform and test them. Okay. So here the users are not involved here in this particular type of testing. Users are not involved in here. The internal employee only they are doing the testing. Okay. Internal employee of the organization. So to put it as simple as possible, this kind of testing is called as alpha only because it is done early on. Okay. So the main focus of alpha testing is to simulate the real users by using the black box or white box testing. So this is the where we go for this alpha testing and beta testing. Unit testing, integration testing, system testing. Once we complete all these testing types, okay, then we go for alpha testing and then beta testing. So alpha testing is done by the employee, the internal employee of the organization. Internal, the employee of organization. Internal employee of the organization, they are doing the alpha testing. So beta testing is performed by the real users of the software application in the real environment, and it can be considered from the real user. Okay, you should know this difference. Alpha testing is done by the tester, the employee of the organization, and beta testing is done by the users, real users, those who are using the application in a real-time environment. It can be considered in the form of external user acceptance testing. Normally, suppose if any car industry, if they launch any new car, no, so they will do some testing at their side, okay, before delivering to the customer, okay. So alpha testing, beta testing, okay, and it can, and even any product, any software application or any product that can be tested by the first they will then tested by the internal employee of the organization, that is alpha testing, and beta testing is done by the the end users or real time, the real users, those who are using the application. So it is the final test before shipping the product to the customer. Okay, so we can say after this there is one more, that is gamma testing. Okay. So alpha testing is performed by the testers within the organization, whereas beta testing is performed by the end users. Okay, so this is very important. Okay, in your MCQ you may get alpha testing. It is done by the testers within the organization, and who is doing the beta testing? It is by the end users. Then alpha testing is performed at the developer site, whereas beta testing is performed at the client location. This is the second difference. Okay, alpha testing it is done at the developer side. Okay, it is done at the developer side, and beta testing is done at the client location, because the beta testing is done by the end users. Reliability and security testing are not performed in depth in alpha testing, while reliability, security, robustness are checked during the beta. It is very important because the software is deployed at the client location and they need to check this robustness, security, and all. Alpha testing involves both black box, white box testing, whereas beta testing involves only the black box because the end users are testing here. Then alpha testing requires testing environment, while the beta testing does not require any testing environment. Alpha testing requires the long execution cycle, where beta testing requires very few weeks of execution. So here, so first we are going for the alpha testing. Okay, alpha testing at the At the organization side, that is done by the testers of a internal organization, employee of the organization, and beta testing is done later. That is by done by the end users. End users. Okay. Okay. So this is the difference that you can see the alpha testing and beta testing. So here it is. They are not much focused on reliability, security at the client means at the in an organization, but this is important at the when the software is deployed at the client location. Okay, so these are the some very important concepts: alpha testing, beta testing. So alpha testing is to ensure the quality of the final product. The alpha testing is to ensure the quality of the final the product before moving to the beta testing. So first we are going for the alpha testing of user acceptance testing. Then we are going for the beta testing. So again, there are types of beta testing. That is traditional beta testing, public beta testing, technical, focused. Okay. So there is one more type of testing is there, that is gamma testing. So that will go after the alpha beta, after covering the alpha and beta testing. Okay. So this is all about the alpha beta testing. Advantage is it provides a better view about the reliability of the software at an early stage, and it helps to simulate real-time users' behavior in an environment. It detects the showstoppers of any errors. Beta testing is done to reduce the product failure through customer validation. Here we are means end users. The end users, they are interacting with the application from their location. Like suppose if you have developed any mobile application, mobile app. Okay, so you need to provide this app to the some of the users. So to interact with these applications. So based upon that particular feedback, that you can improve. So alpha and beta testings are very important. There are some misconceptions are there about the alpha testing and beta testing. Alpha beta testings are carried out too late in the testing life cycle to merit a benefit. The main truth is that it helps to highlight some crucial issues with the software application and provide the user feedback. Because once the product is ready, then only we can perform. It is better to perform the alpha beta testing. Same type of testing is done in alpha and beta testing. They are not different scenarios. Alpha testing is done in the lab environment. Okay. Alpha testing is done in the lab environment, whereas beta testing is done by the real users that reporting the real problems. Like for example, we can consider that alpha testing is done at your system or your laptop. Okay, the users. Okay, means user means you with a team of suppose in a project if you are having a 4 members, so these four members only you are testing. Okay, but if you install same at the location, for example in your class only, I think Meet, Vishwanath and Ishita and Sahu, I think 4 members, they have worked on placement portal. They developed one portal placement portal for data management system, and the software it works fine in their system. It works fine. Okay, so this is alpha testing. Alpha testing means they have done the testing at their own environment. But if the same software, if they install at the college, okay, so then it is required to test with a real data, okay, or the user should interact with the data, means user should interact with that particular portal. So in that we will find some of the issues. So that is beta testing. Okay, beta testing. Okay, so all this is about the acceptance testing, and in the like if you have any questions, you can ask any questions, and we'll discuss the content in the